Countsmen are going to take their first intermission on a Tuesday night at Jazz here at the West End. I hope the listeners on WKCR are enjoying as much as you here in the audience. And you in the audience, of course, are getting to see as well as hear all these great jazz sounds. As the band takes a break, how about a round of applause for this guy filling in on piano, Lloyd Mayers at the piano. And on drums, Clarence Tootsie B. On the bass, we have none other than Franklin Skeet, who the guys call Skeets. Skeets on the bass. And in the front line, 2 Count Basie originals, the trombone and vocals. Yes, a plunger, the pepper pot mute, his own invention, a lot of enthusiasm for the music. Earle Warren and Dickie Wells are originals. Dickie Wells on trombone and Earle Warren on alto saxophone. The Countsmen, they'll be back. Take the A Train and the theme concluded the first set of the Countsmen. You're listening to WKCR-FM in New York City. We're located at 89.9 on your dial. 2 hours of jazz live on our airwaves every Tuesday night. During the summer months, it's been broadcast from the bandstand of the West End, a jazz club that specializes in swinging jazz, located on Broadway and West 114th Street. It's across the street from KCR, and that's helped us a great deal in making these broadcasts possible. The series will continue through next Tuesday with George Kelly's Jazz Sultans. Might make you aware that later tonight, starting at midnight, an hour after this show ends, there'll be a 6-hour broadcast on Bubba Miley, the plunger-muted alter ego of Duke Ellington's Jungle Band. And we'll be most pleased if you're able to stay up an hour later and catch some of those sounds. My name is Phil Schapp. It's great hosting these live remotes, and I'm getting a lot of help from 2 engineers who are members of our jazz department. In fact, the cat across the street in the control room at KCR is the head of the jazz department at WKCR. His name's Ed Scarvalone, and right by my side, Taylor Storer with the headphones, pile of wires, and one little black box, which is our mixer, sending all this, it's incredible, out into the radio land. During this intermission, we're going to do a different format than some of the other programs. We're just going to interview one person, the leader of the band, Earle Warren, who last Tuesday, when we also had the Countsmen on the sales show, more or less gave up his chance to talk about himself so he could fill us in a little bit on Dick Wilson and a lot on Herschel Evans. This time we're going to change that. We're going to speak to Earle about himself. You're listening to WKCR-FM in New York City at 89.9 on your dial. It's 10 o'clock, and here's Earle Warren.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 10 o'clock from the West End.
Do you know where your jazz fans are?
My jazz fans are all out there, I hope. I hope they're tuned to 89.9 FM.
Earle, for the first question I'd like to ask you, how did you join the Count Basie band, and when?
How did I? Well, let me go back about a year before I did join them. I had heard Count Basie's band coming from Kansas City, from the Reno Club. I was with the band up in Sandusky, Ohio. And I heard this swinging band coming from over the radio, and at that time we only had little small radios, you know. And the music kept dying away and coming back and dying away, and we had our ears to this. I don't know how I just came in one night, and I happened to pick it up after I finished the gig, and I said, who in the devil's that playing, you know? And I heard those riffs, and I guess at that time it was Joe Keys and Orrin Lips Page was in the band, and Perez and Herschel and Jack Washington. In fact, I don't even think Herschel was there yet. I think, was Herschel there? I didn't think he was there yet. I know Prez was there and Jack Washington, because they just had about a 7 or 8 piece band coming out of the Reno club. And then I didn't hear them. After that, I missed them on the air. I said, something must have happened. Maybe we can't pick up that station anymore. So later on, I was at this same club in Sandusky for quite a while, for quite a few months. We were sitting in the hotel one night, and here come a band from Chicago, from the Grand Terrace, Count Basie. I said, Count Basie, that's the same band that was in Kansas City, but now they had arrangements. They had a few arrangements. Some of them were head, but they had some uniformly put together arrangements. So we used to sit and listen to them each night. You see, when they would come on, and became a fan of this Count Basie band. Well, as luck would happen, I got sick. And my wife and we went home to Springfield, Ohio. From there, that was in late 36. I was home a couple of months or so and recuperated from what you call the flu. But I was really sick. And then a friend of mine came up from Cincinnati, and he was telling me about all the musicians that were down there that was available, and ought to come down with him and try to start something. So leave it to me. I put myself together and went down to Cincinnati, and I started to build a 17-piece band in 1937, right after the Cincinnati flood. And everybody was so enthusiastic, and I took all my money and put into arrangements and invested everything I had in it. So one night I came to work. Fact is, I came by the Cotton Club, and I looked up and I saw the advertisement of Count Basie coming on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I said, that's the band I want to hear, because I remember a trumpet player by the name of Leroy White telling me about Lester Young, and I said, I sure want to hear this guy in person. And of course, I had picked up the name Herschel Evans coming out of Chicago. Well, sir, I didn't have any idea that I was going to have to relieve Big Al Sears, who had a band in the Cotton Club with Helen Hume singing. He had to go to Detroit for some business or something, and he asked me would I fill in for him for Saturday night's show, Sunday night matinee, and Sunday night's performance, and Sunday night's show. They played their little thing while I was leading my own big band down the street at the Sunset. Well, on that afternoon, that Sunday afternoon, in walked Buck Clayton and Ed Lewis, who was just joining the band, and Herschel Evans and a few of the guys. And of course, we had arrangements in this 7-piece band, and Helen Humes was in the band, and we really showed off because we knew the Cats was in there. And the band really hit. It was a fine little 7-piece band. He had nice arrangements. A fellow by the name of Bugs out of Zanesville. You know what I'm talking about? Piano player, used to be with Andy Kirk. I can't think of his last name, but he arranged very nice, and we had a book full of his arrangements. I think Helen knows. Helen Humes would know his last name. But anyhow, he's passed now. He died quite a few years ago. But his arrangements they made the saxes really work, you see, because we only had, I tell you who was in that band now. Mr. Chambers, Mr. C.E. Chambers, God bless the dead. He was the trombone player in that band.
Henderson Chambers?
Henderson Chambers. Yeah, he was in that band. And a couple other nice fellows. Their names don't really, I can't recall right now, but the band was made up of good musicians. Well, nevertheless, after we did the matinee, they came and asked me, was I interested in leaving or would I consider joining the band? Their first saxophone player, Couchy Roberts, they've been looking for an alto player, you know. So I said, well, I don't know. I got a big band here, you know, and I wasn't too enthused about leaving. I just dug the band, you know. Well, the story goes that in the meantime, Noble Sissel came through and he was looking for an alto player. So I figured Noble Sissel was more on the foot, you know, than a band that's just breaking into the territory. So I was thinking most about going with Noble Sissel until I went down to hear the band rehearsing at the Cotton Club. And when I heard it, that I decided then I didn't want any part of Noble Sissel. God bless him, he's dead too, but his band didn't move me, you see, because I was a young cat, you know. Anyhow, and I can dig how young guys are now, you know, when we're playing nostalgia jazz and they're playing this modern music. Well, nevertheless, I got a wire from Basie about 2 weeks after he was gone. I'd given him my address, and he wired me and asked me would I consider joining the band and come to the Woodside. And I pictured the Woodside in New York, a palatial hotel sitting on a hill with a big long driveway. You know, I was young, man, and I'd been on the road for so long, living in huts and everything. So, well, make a long story short, I sent him a wire back after I conferred with my union director, secretary, Mr. Matthews, and he told me the scale on the road, and I said, boy, that's not too much money, you know. At that time, it was very cheap, about $60. Well, sir, I decided to go, and the guys in the band, they not literally cried, they cried. They hated to see me leave because I really had a nice 17-piece band. And I was the first person to come to Cincinnati in many years to form another band, you see. And I used to play there at the Charles Coliseum and different places. And but nevertheless, I was thinking more of my young wife and everything and what she needed. So off I went, and I joined them in Pittsburgh in April '37, right about the end of April. My first job was Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Not playing a note with them prior to that time, I set into that band cold. And I guess I was so favorably accepted, and I was so thrilled myself that it was just something that was so, it's what you call romance. And man, it was like one of the greatest things that I believe ever happened to me in my life. And I've always cherished those memories because being young, and I had set a deadline on my success as a saxophone player because I could have gone back to Cleveland and worked on the Cleveland Railroad, you know, for conductor on streetcars, you know. And I said I'd play on nights that I had open, see, and this job was waiting on me, see. So, but my wife, she was most enthused about my career and everything, and she let me continue as long as I wanted to, and I'm a son of a gun if I didn't make it. I was around 23. I told the guys I was 25, see, but I was 23 years old, and boy, being with Count Basie and then going into Washington, D.C., and then on into New York to play the Apollo Theater, and then we played the Savoy Ballroom against Willie Bryant, and all these things was so fantastic, man, you know. I was just so thrilled I didn't know what to do. I wasn't making any money. I think I made about $6.25 a night, and we only played about 4 nights before I got to New York. So I didn't have much money in my pocket. But then you could get a breakfast across from the Woodside for about 40 cents. Breakfast for 40 cents, man. A couple of scrambled eggs and some prepared meat and maybe a couple of slices of bacon and and have a nice meal, you know. And I didn't drink any coffee then, and all I drank was milk. And I managed to make it and stay with that band, even though we had some hard times now and then. And from then on, it was just and rising. We kept rising right on up till we became one of the greatest bands that ever played jazz, you know. And it's a story that it's a dream thing. It was a dream thing for me in those days, Phil, because I never had the slightest idea that I would join that band. You know, who thought I'd been listening to it on the radio and everything? It just shows you never know. If you're ready and you can step into those positions and take care of it and handle it, it's there for you. You know, opportunity sometimes only knocks but once. And then other times, some guys have been lucky. They've had many opportunities and never took advantage of them, you know. But it was something that when that opportunity came to me, I felt, well, after I heard that Sissel band, I said, well, I know where I want to go. I want to go with Count Basie, so off I went.
Well, your gain and the Counts' gain was Cleveland's Rapid Transit's loss, and I'm sure everybody benefited from it the most.
I don't know how rapid it was in those days.
Of course, you have maintained the Basie tradition, and for the last 6 years now, over 6 years, it's been the Basie music in a small unit, your band, the Countsmen. You'd like to comment on the Countsmen?
Well, Phil, I have to give you some credit in that direction myself, because you and I have been associated together for about 6 years, and we've maintained through disagreements and agreements many different times the personnel and what we need. And there's guys that I would like to have kept in the band who everybody wants to leave out to help themselves, and you can't blame them. So I tried to keep a format of what I would have played with Basie, even though there's a lot of things I can't play because I don't think there's enough instruments to really give it the strong assistance in the tunes. So, but in keeping this band together, this unit together has been my livelihood, as well as it's given me inspiration to continue to play, because a lot of times I felt like I had it, especially after my accident in '76. I thought I might just stop playing altogether, but to do this and see that I'm helping some other men make a livelihood it's really helped me a lot, you know.
And of course, you mentioned not being able to play all the Basie book. We've got a set of Count Basie music coming up. I'd like to ask you one last question before we go back and let you assemble the ensemble.
Yeah.
And it might surprise you, but it's an aspect of your career that may well inform the listeners about. This broadcast is in direct prime-time conflict with a 3-hour special of Elvis Presley performing, which is kind of a funny thing. But the amazing thing that maybe the listeners don't know is that you were a big part of 1950s rock and roll, and you were the backbone of those Alan Freed rock and roll shows. Would you like to comment on your rock and roll years?
Well, Phil, that was another glorious time in the sense of entertaining the people and noticing how responsive they were to the young artists that had, some of them only made one record, yet the way those people stood in line for Alan, and he was so conventional, and he was the type of man that he was outgoing when he did get there. His personality was warm enough to show the children that he loved them all, and he appreciated their attendance. And not only that, he wanted a big, fine band, which we always had, as well as wonderful artists. We never tried to put on a show with just 10 acts like these people do now. we had 25, and we stayed there, and he paid well, and he treated me wonderful. And of course, I knew him well, and we always conferred with each other, and it was a real drastic thing that happened to him, which there's no need of remarking about it. But later on, I think it really took him away, because I think he became so despondent and depressed under the attack that he was under, that he never regained his momentum again. I went clear to Hollywood to do a show with him at the Hollywood Bowl, and I noticed he didn't have the fire that he had during the time we were in New York, you know, and it's like everybody just kicked the sand out from under his feet. But the rock and roll period, I met wonderful guys. I was the first person in the United States to conduct Tom Jones, and I conducted guys like Bobby Darin and Bobby, can't think his name now. He had Wow Win or something. Bobby, no.
Bobby V?
No, not Bobby V. Doggone it. Well, nevertheless, but I did conduct Bobby Vinton too. You know, I was in Bobby Vinton's band when he first came from Pittsburgh, and I used to help him. He would stand in front of the band, and I would be conducting the show sitting down. But he was a saxophone player, you know, and he wanted to play a few things. But we got along fine, and not knowing that he was going to become a renowned singer and everything, because I didn't even know he sang then, you know. Bobby Vinton I'm talking about. But it's like all those other guys that came up to be big stars. I can't remember their names now. You know, they're still in the movies, but big names. But they all know me, and not once have I had any one of them. If I saw one on the elevator, just like Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, they know me, and they've never turned their back to me, but some of my own people have done that to me. And I don't want to remark about them, but I mean, they'll never reach the heights that these people made, but yet they feel that they were much bigger than anybody else, and that's really a depressing thing. And I must say that for the simple reason that some of those people that were in rock and roll that went on into the movies have really made some money. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand. I think listeners might have a little trouble understanding that Earle Warren, the great reed man from the Count Basie band, knows so much about that time. And the Alan he was talking about was Alan Freed, of course. Earle Warren's starting to assemble the ensemble after that great interview he gave, particularly the story about his coming to join the Count Basie band. And really, that's what it's all about. Earle Warren today leads the ensemble known as the Countsmen, the Count Basie alumni players, and the band's going to ascend the bandstand once more, and the set coming up is an all Basie tune set, and I think we'll get a tremendous kick out of it. You're listening to live jazz over the airwaves of WKCR-FM in New York City at 89.9 on the dial. My name is Phil Schapp. I've been hosting these summer programs, live music from the West End, which is across the street from our station, here in Manhattan on Broadway and West 114th Street. If you'd like to catch the Countsmen, they'll be here, of course, after the broadcast till 1, and tomorrow night and Thursday. Thursday's closing, so you only have a few more times to catch the Basie alumni vets, the Countsmen. Following them will be George Kelly's Jazz Sultans, and they'll be our featured attraction on next Tuesday's live broadcast. We're going to bring on the Countsmen now. They are on the stand, and we're going to hear all Basie music as soon as Earle brings on the band with his theme song. During the intermission, I guess none of you here in the West End audience could hear, but Earle Warren was talking about joining the Count Basie band, and really that's why he's here tonight, playing with the Basie vets and the Basie music, which all make up the Countsmen. I'd like to introduce to both those of you in our audience here and listening in on the broadcast, the members of the Countsmen. Start off with this great player of jazz who's got his alto saxophone, he's played some clarinet, and he sings. He led the reed section in the original Count Basie Orchestra back there when they were the swinginest band in the land, next to Prez, Jack Washington, and Herschel Evans. A round of applause for Earle Warren. Earle heads the band. The newest member of the Countsmen is our drummer. A welcome for Clarence Tootsie Bean. At the piano, filling in for the Countsmen's regular pianist, who is Dill Jones, we have a man who really had a tough task once. 4 years ago and a few months ago, Duke Ellington passed away, and his band decided to keep on going, to perform the very next night after the Duke's funeral. But they needed a piano player, and that's a difficult place to head into. Duke Ellington band, Duke's piano, right after he passed away. Our pianist here tonight is the jazz man who had to do that, and he filled the bill as he is now, Lloyd Mayers. Playing bass with the Countsmen is a Basieite from the 1960s who had a career before then, working and recording with some of the most noted saxophonists in jazz history, including Ben Webster, Coleman Hawkins, Don Byas, Charlie Parker, whose birthday it is, and Lester Young. Franklin Skeet on bass. And it's a pleasure to have this trombonist here. Every note he plays is a treat. And it's also every note he plays is different and unique. Dickie Will. The Countsmen. They'll be giving you the sounds of Count Basie, records they made years ago. On January 16, 1938, there was a jazz concert at Carnegie Hall, and some Basieites took part in it. They had to rush uptown after that concert because they had a meeting with Chick Webb's band at the Savoy Ballroom in a battle of music. The Count Basie Orchestra had a new number written by Eddie Durham, in which they debuted that night and recorded a month later. It's called Swingin the Blues. Swingin the Blues, the Countsmen. And they're going to keep up their Basie style now with another one from way back there, Jive at 5. time to jump from Jive at 5 to Jumpin' at the Woodside. Jumpin at the Woodside. The Countsmen, and of course Earle Warren of the Countsmen was telling you about the Woodside a little while ago. You're listening to live jazz here on WKCR-FM in New York at 89.9 on the dial. The Countsmen are performing this music right here from the bandstand of the West End. It's coming to you over our airwaves. I hope you're enjoying the sounds. Those were some swinging up-tempo Basie items like Swingin the Blues, Jive at 5, and Jumpin at the Woodside. One of the lesser-known Basie Decca recordings was The Blues I Love to Hear, which Earle did way back there with the band, and he's going to do it again now, but he's more or less amended the music to turn it into a vocal for himself, kind of like a tribute to Jimmy Rushing on the blues of the Basie band. Earle Warren, Dickie Wells, Tootsie Bean, Franklin Skeet, and Lloyd Mayers, the Countsmen performing The Blues I Love to Hear.
Well, I'm going back home. Gotta find my Cupid doll. Yes, I'm going back home. Gotta find my Cupid doll. These women in New York City won't give me no loving at all. Hey, I miss my baby. Miss my baby bad. Lord, Lord, miss my baby. Miss my baby bad. Yes, that's the sweetest little woman that I've ever had. Oh, yeah. I'll miss my baby. Miss my baby bad. I said that before. I miss my baby. Miss my baby bad. Yes, miss that little woman. Miss that little woman bad. I love my baby better than I do myself. Love my baby better than I do myself. Well, that's why I put my woman way up on the shelf. Lord, Lord, my friends call me a fool. They say she's using me. Lord, Lord, they call me a fool. They tell me she's using me. Well, if using is what she's doing, Lord, don't let her set me free. Go on, use me, baby. Use me till you fill your cup. Use me, baby. Use me till you fill your cup. Lord, Lord, use me, pretty mama. Use me till you use me all up. Yeah, gotta go back home. Find my Cupid doll. Lord, Lord, I gotta go back home. Yes, I need my Cupid doll. These women in New York City ain't giving up nothing at all. Bye-bye, baby. Bye-bye, babies, bye. Ooh, bye-bye, baby. Bye-bye, babies, bye. Lord, Lord, bye-bye, baby. Bye-bye, babies, bye-bye.
Earle Warren singing the blues I love to hear with the Countsmen. They got a rousing set closer. I don't know if you caught our Lost Masters Festival last week, but we paid tribute to Herschel Evans out of the original Basie band. He wrote a number called Doggin Around. I think you'll recognize it. Earl probably played the original bridge. Doggin Around. Well, the Countsmen are coming to the end of the set, the end of the radio broadcast, but not the end of the night here at the West End. So I hope those of you in the audience that like to hear some more, stick around. After the intermission, you can catch all these fellas again. But we got to give them a rousing send-off for Radio Land. And how about a round of applause for our pianist, Mr. Lloyd Mayer. And paging away back there on the bass is Franklin Skeet. Nice trombone breaks, solos, and everything. This man was with the original Basie band for over a decade. Dickie Wells. And the foundation on drums, the newest member of the Countsmen, Tootsie Bean. And I think you should give a special round of applause for your master of ceremonies, alto saxophonist. He sang, he played clarinet, he led the reed section in the original Basie band, Earle Warren. These are the Countsmen. They'll be playing here at the West End through Thursday. I hope you catch them again. They've been giving you great sounds over the airwaves of WKCR-FM in New York at 89.9. My name is Phil Schapp. I had a great time hosting this broadcast. The Countsmen are going to keep playing, and these broadcasts will be back next Tuesday with George Kelly and Jazz Soul. There's the sounds of a 1 o'clock jump.